Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm bringing you the slop, the whole slop, and nothing but the slop. And I guess we're continuing this ongoing saga within this tragedy involving the brutal beatdown of Stu Stewart, aka Psycho Stu, at the hands of Rampage Jackson, UFC legend, son, Roger Jackson. It's been blowing up lately, and we got a couple of things we have to actually talk about in regards to this. The LAPD has opened up an investigation regarding this situation. Stu Stewart's friends, or in particular his friend, leaves an emotional message that I feel we have to go over. WWE, they finally responded to this situation because, of course, they're affiliated with Rikishi's promotion. And we have to talk about Chael Sonnen's horrible video in regards to his reaction. So best we start off on a good note and we'll end it on the bad note, right? And we'll talk about the LAPD's open investigation revolving around this whole situation. So I'm not going to read this entire article for you, but I will leave it in the description box. I only want to highlight the certain points that I actually do want to discuss. So we're going to take it all the way down to the bottom of the page. It says a spokesperson for the Los Angeles Police Department confirmed that officers were called to the gym about 9 p.m. Saturday after receiving a report of an attempted murder. The suspect had left the location by the time the officers arrived, and the victim was taken to a hospital in stable condition, a police spokesperson said Monday. Officers completed a felony battery report, and detectives have been assigned to the case, officials said. No arrests had been made as of Monday morning. Jackson's father, Quentin Rampage Jackson, he wrote on Twitter about the whole situation that went on. They discussed the video circulating overall, and they talked about the fact that, Roger was hanging out in the parking lot and essentially pretty much catching us up on the whole lore. But I think this part right here, in my opinion, is one of the more important parts as far as people having some kind of concern as to whether or not justice will be brought. Here, check this out. On Sunday morning, however, officials for the show said in a statement the incident had not been scripted and what was supposed to be a staged event had turned into a real attack. And it goes on to state, even if part of the confrontation was staged, legal experts said the extent of the attack on the wrestler could mean legal ramifications for Jackson. And I quote, "No one is going to consent to broken bones and broken teeth," said Niema Ramani, a former federal prosecutor and now president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. And I quote, he continues on by stating, "Jackson's actions crossed the line from choreographed or simulated violence to real violence." He furthers on stating his case by stating this: "Consent can be a defense to allegations of assault in the case of sports," Ramani said. Sorry, I said it that way, but I'm trying to pronounce his name correctly. "In boxing, wrestling, or football, for example, athletes consent to being punched or kicked or tackled as part of the sport. But this appeared to exceed any kind of consent," Ramani said. "The previous incident involving the drink can and would not make much of a self-defense claim," he said. Attorney Eric Faddis agreed to that. Even if the two men had come to an agreement on a physical altercation, Jackson's attack exceeded any possible parameters. And I quote, "The alleged assailant should have known this isn't a part of the match," said Faddis, a Denver-based criminal defense attorney with Varner Faddis Elite Legal. "This can't be consented to." So for everybody out there who is stating, this is a work, or for people who are going out of their way saying that he could beat this because it was all based off of self-defense, well, here you have actual a legal analysis team essentially telling you that no, Buddy is up a creek and there's no paddle. He is fucked. And there's an open investigation currently going on right now. And his best case scenario, which still I'm not sure if this is a one-party consent state in regards to whether or not, I forgot the word for it. I think it's called common law, right? Or I could be wrong about that. I think they have it in Virginia, where you don't have to go out of your way to press charges. The state in itself can press charges on you. Now, I'm not sure if California has that as what would you say, like a litigation in regards to any kind of legal process. But Buddy is absolutely fucked. So for everybody out there claiming this to be a work, shut your fucking mouths. Absolutely not a work at all. And just to kind of give you guys a bit of an update on Psycho Stu's health, as we always do when covering this topic, I will say that we do have some somewhat good news. Look, check it out. His friend actually posted this, I believe, on Facebook, although I could be wrong of the actual platform, but that doesn't matter. His friend wrote, "To see him like this pains my heart. I believe that Nox Pro is at fault for these events. To have allowed this to happen is beyond belief. Honestly, I'm upset." He continues on by stating this. On August 23rd, he was involved in an unscripted assault that has left him in the hospital with intense recovery needed to regain good health. Again, one more time, breaking this out for the people out there who for some weird reason is still calling this a work. No, it's not a fucking work. Police are involved, okay? There's a guy in the fucking hospital fighting for his life at the moment. Like, quit the nonsense. Now you have multiple confirmations so you can stop it with the nonsense and pretending that this is a work. But it continues on with this guy saying, "This incident has not only caused major physical harm, but will also disrupt his career inside the ring and outside of the ring." And then we continue on by saying this. Stu's brother, Andrew Smith, offered a brief but optimistic update. Stewart is conscious and does have some recollection of events from the day of the attack. He's currently resting and says thank you for the love and support. So that's awesome to hear. It seems like he's, at least from what it sounds like, starting to recover little by little. And hopefully he presses charges on this motherfucker in order to at least push forward with this investigation so he can actually get some consequences and some ramifications for his actions. But there is a GoFundMe if you guys do care to want to take a look at it. I'll leave the link down in the description box below. I'm probably going to go out of my way to donate something. I'm not here to tell you guys to, hey, donate $100 or, you know, you don't care about Stu if you donate. All I'm doing is my part. I figure if I'm gonna, you know, at least cover the topic and get views from it, the least I can do is my part and put out a link for you guys to at least check it out. It doesn't have to be much. You know, $1 goes a long way. You know, if 100 people donate $1, hey, that's still $100 in the end of the day, right? So go check it out. Show some love to Stu. Again, Buddy did not deserve this. He is a former veteran. Just throwing it out there. Go support him if you can. And also some other good news. Again, I'm building you guys up to the actual main event in regards to the bad news, but I'm going to keep the good news going because WWE has responded to all of this. And, you know, I guess it depends on how you're actually going to look at this, because you could say good news as far as consequences given to the promotion. But then again, you know, maybe this isn't good news now that I'm actually thinking about it, because it's not as if they actually had something to do with this, right? But check this out. This was posted by WrestlePurist. California's Nox X Pro has removed their WWE ID affiliation from their social media branding and headers as of this afternoon. It would appear WWE has severed ties with the promotion and academy as part of the fallout of the Roger Jackson incident. You know what? I take that back. I think some people, maybe I'm saying it's good news because I'm seeing people in the comment section legitimately actually reflect off of all this, and they're saying this is the correct move. People are saying, oh, you can't blame WWE for this. Oh, okay, this is good. This is awesome. You know, the more and more I think about this optically, I can see why WWE did this, but I think the ramifications as you start to go forward, I will say this. This is a bad look in regards to the entire ID program, because it's like, okay, well, promotions can actually do this, and it's like it's going to reflect badly on WWE if they stayed attached to that promotion, right? I'm saying, if like, is it one of those deals like one apple actually spoils the bunch? Like, does WWE reconsider this in the future if more incidents like this start to happen? I think that's a bad thing, not for what WWE is doing. I get why WWE is doing it, but I think it's a bad thing for people to actually celebrate this just based off of that point. And also, Nox X Pro, they had nothing to do with this. You know, this just kind of happened and they were kind of put into this situation, you know. Now, I understand that Rikishi is the owner of this, which I can only presume is going to have some type of, you know, ramifications and consequences, because again, it's Rikishi. He's formerly affiliated with WWE. He worked for them. His sons currently work for them. So I do wonder how that is looking right about now. Not a good look. not a good look. I understand why WWE did it, but man, the implications that come out of all this, just this one incident has ruined so many people's lives. Like, just because a kid couldn't keep his fucking anger in check. A guy nearly lost his life. He's still in the hospital at this moment. Roger Jackson's life is probably ruined at this moment. I'm not sure what this does to Rampage Jackson's image, if you will. A wrestling promotion is no longer probably going to be funded by WWE, or at least affiliated with WWE. A lot of wrestlers under that brand probably just lost their route to WWE because they're no longer affiliated with them. It's so many people. And I know people in the comment section, which I initially thought, but I'm actually starting to break away from that idea. I know people in the comment section are probably going to be like, well, if NoxX probably had their shit together, they wouldn't be in this position. But truly think about what you're saying and then go back and watch the video, man. Go back and watch the video. Like, I really wish ramifications would be taken in the sense that you get rid of the people who are involved in the situation. Obviously, distance yourself from Raja. Distance yourself from the dumb fuck who told him to get his receipt that I can't even remember his name right now. Distance yourself from those people right there. But to actually take down the promotion at the same time, not too sure that that's actually good business. I get why WWE is doing it. I understand why WWE is doing it, but I wish in hindsight they wouldn't just like throw the baby out with the bathwater, that old cliche. But we have one more thing we're going to talk about, and we're going to get out of here because I feel like this right here is one of the more crucial things. And the reason why I decided to make this video to begin with and, tag everything along with it. So, as you guys know, Chael Sonnen, I'm not really too familiar with his work. I know who he is. I know he was a part of the whole CM Punk universe when the whole situation went down with him and the guy from Canada who did the hosting shit, who was just trying to rage bait people the entire time and rage bait all the, the sports guys in general. He's from Canada. I can't remember his fucking name to save my soul. He's a piece of shit in regards to a host. He's like a Jerry Springer. Actually, I would even say that he's like the Piers Morgan of professional wrestling, purposely antagonizing people just to get a response out of them. He's the Wendy Williams of professional wrestling, right? He's the Charlemagne the God of professional wrestling, just stirring up shit for the sake of stirring up shit. That's how I was introduced to Chael Sonnen. I know some of you people who watch MMA, you may have a different reflection off of Chael Sonnen, but that's how I'm affiliated with him. That and the fact that he's friends with CM Punk. Well, he decided to put out a video, and look, everything in regards to his opinion is of his opinion, and I do want to shed light on the fact that he did go out of his way to make his bias known. He did state that he was friends with Rampage, right? So by default, probably friends with Raja also. And he went on absolute damage control, right? So I think it's best for me to show you just a small little excerpt of his video, just so you can get a taste of what he was actually saying. But I highly recommend actually checking out his entire YouTube video to get better context if you feel that's actually necessitated to see where he's coming from. But I've seen the whole entire video, and at least in my opinion, like I said, it's biased. It's brutally biased. And here, check out this excerpt real quick and you tell me what you think just from this part alone.
Raja then follows up with a right hand. Then he switches and follows up with a left hand. Now, these were hard shots. However, and again, I'm giving you my perception, but I watched this thing 20 times before I made this video to you guys. While they were very stiff shots, not what we would call a working shot, it did not appear that Raja had lost his temper. It did not appear that these were being done out of anger. If you want to understand what happened here, you're going to have no ability to get into the eye or mind of the DA or a potential juror. You're going to have no ability to do that if you don't understand emotion versus action, right? The action is supposed to look like he's punching him. The action is supposed to look like he turns him in a 180 and slams him down on the back of his head. So then, where you cross that already blurred line, right, which professional wrestling is already the blurred line, where you cross that, is where Jackson actually gets angry.
Like I said, I highly recommend you guys actually watch the video. I had to cut the parts up a little tiny bit and glue them together, but it was pretty much the same consistent premise, right? And you can actively see him contradicting himself. Now, I know he's going to probably play some linguistics or, some semantics in regards to what he was saying. But on one hand, he sits here and he states that it did not appear that he was angry, and I know he's gonna really do some work in regards to telling you guys that he said appear. He's gonna really focus and really aim at that word appear, right? But then a little bit later on, a couple of seconds later, he goes on to state that, well, it seems like he actually lost his anger. So like what is it? You know what I mean? You can't really go out of your way and really focus on that word appear while simultaneously putting a lot of weight on what you're stating afterwards by suggesting that he indeed was angry. You know, that's where the contradiction actually comes into play. And like I said, it's one thing to be biased, but I think there's two things that we have to discuss here. I think one thing that has to be discussed in regards to Sonnen's response is focusing on the fact that he absolutely is running defense for his friend. And I expect that to be the case. I actually would say in any other circumstances, that's actually highly commendable. You're gonna stand by your bro. You're gonna stick up for your bro, and you're gonna make sure that your bro knows that he's not lonely in this world, right? I actually commend that. I actually like that ability out of a person. But in this instance, knowing how dead to rights someone like Raja is, I think this is just my opinion. I mean, no disrespect to Sonnen, but I think maybe he should have just stayed out of it. You know, right? Because there's nothing you can really say that's going to cover up the situation, if you will, right? Like, I feel like if your friends is so dead to rights to the point where it's just not even defensible, like you can't go out of your way to say anything. Like, you see the amount of people who have to really skirt around the edges in order to make up a lot of bullshit that is even remotely plausible in regards to deniability. You would have to, one, get over the fact that both of these guys legitimately shook hands, right? This is after multiple apologies. You have to get over the fact that his chat actively gassed him up. You can see his chat actively gassing him up. You have to get over the fact that he gets in the ring and he picks him up and he slams him on the back of his head. He sees him unconscious. You have to get over the fact that wrestlers were actively pulling him off of this guy, seeing him unconscious, and him going back and still punching him repeatedly. And they're actually real punches because the guy is bleeding actively. You have to get over the fact that if you don't even believe that he's not really in the hospital, that the LAPD did not open up an investigation? Huh? Do you see how ridiculous you sound? Not only just Sonnen, but just the fanboys in general who are going out of their way to get away from the issue and skirt around the issue. It's not a work. Okay, he's really in the hospital. There's a current investigation going over. All right? Get that out of the way. There's no, oh, well, he should have expected this because it's a receipt. A receipt does not require you actually going out of your way to murder a guy. Attempted murder. Do you not understand that? A receipt is not getting hit in the head with a beer can, accepting a guy's apology after he made it known that it was a misunderstanding and that he did not know that you were working. A receipt does not involve you going inside the ring and taking advantage of that superstar who probably thought that this was all a part of the plan, was you to actually slam him and then get on top of him and beat the shit out of him. That's the part, because there's a lot of people now. It's starting to get a little bit more vocal from the people who are standing in and taking up for Raja and making up so many excuses for what he did. You know, no matter what context you are going to apply to this, you can actively see his actions in real time. That's the part that I don't understand. You can say receipt as much as you want. We can see the actions that took place afterwards. You can play as stupid as you want and claim that it's a work. We can actively see the consequences and the ramifications of what's taking place directly after the situation. You can sit here and play dumb and say that this was all part of the act when we can see the guy actively leaving the arena, mad as shit, actively saying that he's not a bitch, that no one's gonna actually do anything to him, all this other stuff, as a reaction to the wrestlers stopping him. The wrestlers in themselves are literally there to egg him on to get him to stay so the police can arrest him. You think that guy who stopped Raja wanted to fight him? He knew he couldn't fight him. He did that only to fucking egg him on to get him to stay in that spot. Why do you think his homeboy is telling him, let's go, let's go, let's go? Because he knows what this guy is trying to do. He's trying to get him to stay so the police can actually come and actually hold him accountable. I don't get this understanding. I don't get this logic. I don't get what these people are forming in their noodle brains to actually believe what actually happened right there was all make-believe, was all bullshit. And then they move the goalposts, and when they actually understand that none of this is make-believe, that none of this is bullshit, then they say that they justify the actions of Raja. Okay, so just say you justify the actions. Don't sit here and then pretend in the end of the day that what you're actually talking about is that this is all fake. You know it's not fake. You know it's not a work. You just want to come to the defense of this guy. For what reason? I don't know. That's up to you to decide within your actual stupid, fucking 12-year-old dropout fucking stupid brain. But I'm here to tell you, I think what we've been going over throughout this entire video is telling you otherwise what you've been thinking, and hopefully you can come to grips with that and come to the side of reality and actually hold the guy accountable. I don't know why you want to cover or run defense for this guy so much, whether it's Sonnen, whether later on tonight when we hear RVD talk about this, you hear him gonna state his point, whether you hear the knuckleheads in the comment sessions. I don't get what you guys are doing. It's fucking ridiculous, and you need to stop. There's a guy in the hospital right now, legitimately hurt. His friends and his families were traumatized, probably horrified at the actions that took place to their loved one. And this guy who has PTSD from being in the military probably just got PTSD way worse than he originally had because of this situation. Can we come to grips? Can we lock in just a little bit, just for a little bit? And stop being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian. Please? Okay, cool. You're not going to do that, are you? All right, understood. I'll be back later on, maybe tomorrow, or I don't know, probably tomorrow, to cover this some more. Obviously, we still have to hear how Rikishi responds to this. We have to hear what RVD is going to say about this. Will Raja actually get arrested for this? And hopefully we'll have more updates in regards to Psycho Stid's condition, in regards to whether or not he's going to be able to make a full recovery or the extent of the injuries overall. But go ahead and talk amongst each other in the comment section. As always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart, and I'll be catching you fine folks later. A deuces and a P ice.